Hello, friends. It's Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today is October 17th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. We have Ruckus on the line from Alternate Current Radio. He was very distraught, as am I, about this day 17 of the government shutdown. We'll try to console each other on this broadcast. Not get too radical at the No Kings protest tomorrow that are totally astroturf, and it doesn't even make sense, but okay. We'll go over that a little bit. And what is happening out of, Trump dropped the F-bomb. And so this is exactly what I was saying yesterday. Yeah, Maduro is starting to get a little bit concerned, as would I, when a bunch of U.S. military is amassing right near, looking like an invasion at any time, and CIA covert operations are going on and blowing up whatever comes out of your port. It's concerning for Maduro there out of Venezuela, I would say. So we have that essentially. To directly quote Trump, Trump says, because they ask him on Maduro, the press today asked Trump, and he says, direct quote from Trump, he has offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Direct quote from Trump. Pardon my cursing there from your president. Very professional presentation too, by the way, by the chief executive of America here. So we got that development. Basically, Maduro has, we'll get to the reporting on that, but he's come up with some type of plan to phase himself out of power, to not be violently overthrown here. And so, honestly, I don't blame the guy at this point. Then we got the government shutdown, day 17. I don't even know how I got out of bed today. It's been a very hard time for me over here, celebrating every night, telling my wife how this is the greatest time in American history. And she's like, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm like, me neither, but just the thought of the government being shut down is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And so we continue the celebration on this Friday of Weaponized News of government shutdown day 17. Of course, it's all Chuck Schumer's fault and the radical Democrats. That's why they're having these No Kings rally on tomorrow. It doesn't even make sense. They're doing exactly what we want them to do, shut the government down. But so I guess we're going to sort it out. None of it makes any sense, and why would it? Why would it? So you're physical conservative there, Trump. I do believe this is the fourth highest deficit in the history of the U.S. federal budget. We're looking at $1.8 trillion deficit. MAGA, we're saving America. Tell me more about that bullshit. We'll cover that for you. What else do we got today? Of course, more tyranny, police state, martial law news, as the continuing infighting within the government between the feds and the states is continuing here, specifically in Illinois, out of Chicago. We're going to have that back and forth again today between the Department of Homeland Security, old Pritzker, and the like. They're really pushing hard for digital ID there in UK. We're going to go over that. The technocracy. And it don't matter what puppet you put in there, the technocracy, one world government agenda will march forward. I guess the only question is how many people are going to be terminated before the big termination is the question. Zelenskyy, the dictator of Ukraine now, the greatest democracy there in Eastern Europe, we're told hasn't had an election in a year and a half, a year and 8 months. When was it? March, I believe, is when their election was. So like over a year and a half. But hey, it's the greatest democracy that Europe's ever seen, right? Right. Okay. So he went to the White House today, and what it's come down to, what we continue to report here, is what is going on with the U.S. Trump signing off on long-range weapon use by Ukraine into Russia. And so that still hasn't been 100% signed off on by Trump. So apparently we're going to have another round of peace talks between Trump and Putin. And he appears to be using the Tomahawk missiles and other long-range systems as a leveraging tool here now. We're going to sort all this out, how all that meeting went. This crazy idea about drilling an underground tunnel from Alaska to Russia. Old John Bolton, he's there in our thumbnail. He's pled not guilty to 18 criminal charges today. His quasi perp walk. We need this guy in that restrainer that we showed you that the Department of Homeland Security and ICE are using, because this guy is literally a genocidal, homicidal maniac on par with Hannibal Lecter. And so we need him in these type of restraints for public safety, but he gets to walk freely and do his court appearance today. And we wouldn't expect anything else for being a war criminal for this government to receive this treatment. So we got that to go over. We got geopolitical ins and outs. It looks like, well, they've stopped shooting at each other in Afghanistan and Pakistan for a minute here now. So that's good. I'm sure Trump will claim somehow he had a hand in it when, yeah, whatever. Stopped every war in the world as we gear up for a regime change there in Venezuela. And then the peace deal that wasn't, they're still whacking Palestinians in Gaza. So it's a ceasefire, and we know how aardvark ceasefires are. They're complete and utter lies. As we've seen the biggest attack there in southern Lebanon, and they were allegedly under some type of ceasefire. They're dropping massive bombs on Lebanon. Well, today, it turns out 11 Palestinians in Gaza City whacked, 7 children, 3 women. And of course, they're all Hamas. So, you know what I mean? And ceasefire, what's it? It all depends on what your definition of ceasefire is. It's definitely not stopping killing people, according to aardvark definition. That's for sure. As Trump claims peace in the Middle East. They're still whacking people. They're still stacking the bodies. It don't matter. The big lie is out, and they're going to hang on to that propaganda for as long as they can. And then to wrap up the show here, we got a report from the Duke Report, and he's going to give us a breakdown. He put together a nice short explanatory video here, a little less than 6 minutes to wrap up the show, secret societies and psychological warfare. So all of that and much more on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. On this day in history, going back to the year, this is probably the saddest day in history. It wasn't all these attacks, J6, October 7th, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, all the horrible attack. It was this is the worst day in history. In 1814, London beer flood, a burst vat at the Max and Company Brewery floods city streets with over 300,000 gallons of porter ale, killing 8, with a possible 9th later dying from alcohol poisoning. So I argue that this is the worst thing to ever happen in history. 1814, the Great London Beer Flood there. On this day of October 17th, and then fast forward here, we do love our martial law in America. Going back to, and many say that this year was the year where we got rid of the People's Republic of the Constitution in lowercase letters and put them on in all caps. 1871 on this day. Then U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant suspends habeas corpus in parts of South Carolina during persecutions or prosecutions against the Ku Klux Klan. Another one of these outfits run by the feds, right? Who cares? They're getting the bad races there. In 1871, on this day, martial law in parts of South Carolina to get the bad Ku Klux Klan. And the worst bank as far as my experience as a customer, Bank of America in 1904, Bank of Italy, Bank of America, founded by Amadon Giannini, opens its doors in Jackson Square, San Francisco on this day. And Bank of America is a horrible, horrible criminal bank. Don't do business with them. In my experience, that's what I've had the displeasure of learning. So I'm giving you a heads up. If you are not, don't ever start doing business with Bank of America, because they're as crooked as they come. And that's saying a lot when it comes to banking institutions. Also, on this day in 1907, we saw Marconi's company begin the first commercial transatlantic wireless service between Glance Bay, Nova Scotia, Canada, and Clifton, Ireland. In 1917, on this day, we saw the first British bombing of Germany, part of the World War I efforts there. In 1919, on this day, we saw Radio Corporation of America, RCA, is created as a subsidiary of General Electric, i.e. an arm of the military-industrial complex, all for your entertainment, of course. And then right in line with Zelenskyy going to Washington, if we go back to 1939 on this day, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was released on this day, starring James Stewart. The game of the century, it was dubbed at the time, on this day in 1956, chess game of the century. Then 13-year-old Bobby Fischer defeats 1953 U.S. chess champion Donald Byron, or Byrne, however you may pronounce it there, in the Roosevelt Memorial Tournament at the Marshall Chess Club in New York City. In 1975, on this day, there was a little bit of noticing going on in the United Nations. Surprisingly enough, the United Nations drafts a resolution for consideration saying, in part, quote, Zionism is a form of racism. Man, they're all anti-Semitic haters there at the UN, as we know. And then who is funding the No Kings protest here? It wouldn't be George Soros, every right-winger's favorite boogeyman. Well, anyway, he funds all the evil in the world, never gets in trouble, and literally laughs in your face, because they're all working together at the top levels of government to social engineer this chaos, you see. On this day in 2017, George Soros announces he has donated $18 billion with a B to his grant-making network, the Open Society Foundations. There you go. He's just a philanthropic kind of guy that cares about keeping society open. And then moving on here, just a year ago, on this day in 2024, Aardvark claims to have killed Hamas leader Sinwar. I remember when this happened. Remember, he was like, it's hard to know if any of the footage is even real, but he was like fighting them with his AK, like right out of a movie, right down to they sent drones after him. They finally whacked the guy, but he died with his AK. I tell you, maybe he did. I mean, he didn't really have any other choice, but that was the story that they, gave the Hamases. And so maybe he did die fighting with his AK till his last breath. And so that was a significant whack by the Aardvarks there, Yahya Sinwar, on this day. All right. And with that, I think we have civil liberties history. Just one event to report. On this day in 2006, President George W. Bush signs Military Commissions Law. President George W. Bush on this day signed into law the Military Commissions Act. The law was necessary because the Supreme Court had ruled just months earlier in Hamdan versus Rumsfeld on June 29th, 2006, that the Bush administration had violated both the U.S. Uniform Code of Military Justice and the Geneva Conventions by creating military commissions through executive order to try terror suspects. Bush's original military conventions were heavily criticized by civil libertarians and human rights activists. Trials were to be conducted in secret, with the defendant not permitted to confront and contest evidence presented against him, and non-unanimous verdicts of guilty were permitted. The new military commissions created on this day continued to have a number of significant civil liberties problems. The most important precedent for president-ordered military tribunals involved the one created by then President Franklin Delano Roosevelt during World War II to try 8 German saboteurs who were captured soon after they landed in the United States. In the spring of 1942, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of that military commission on July 31st, 1942, and in six of the saboteurs were executed on August 8th, 1942. So due process, rule of law, jury trial, who friggin' cares? And violations of international law, uniform U.S. military code, who friggin' cares? They just write another law and no one gets in trouble. Torture, indefinite detention, terrorism by the U.S. federal government against anybody they point the finger at. Yeah, who freaking cares? You know what I mean? America, you see? And so that's what all this is about. It's all about America. Okay, here's our segue, and then we'll bring on Ruckus and get all the news for you. Here's Trump being very professional, dropping an F-bomb earlier today.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Maduro.
How you doing this Friday, 17th day of the government shutdown here, Ruckus?
Thank you, everybody. Good night. I'll be here all week. What the heck? Man, I can't. Yeah, that was a little uncouth, very unprofessional. It's funny, you were talking about your bank story there a little while ago in your opening, and the last time I got unprofessional in public was actually at a bank. I was having quite a terrible experience myself. At that time, I believe it was a Wells Fargo. Yes, Bank of America and Wells Fargo both suck terribly. Just talk to anyone who's ever had experience with them. But I just finally got a brand new bank account here in my little town in Texas, Sam, and I got to say, my experience with my new bank is probably the worst one yet. I'm like, I don't know what it is about banks. They got it out for me or something, but I opened up my bank account like over 3 weeks ago. I still don't even have one of those little plastic cards, where you can actually, take and use your money. What are the bank card things that everybody gets when they get an account? Card, yeah. Still waiting for that. So that's fun. Yeah. I guess I should have been expecting it. They did advertise themselves as being one of the oldest banks in town, but when I went inside and it looked like this, I probably should have ran for the door. But true story, back in the day when I worked for a movie video company, it was called Movie Gallery. It was kind of like a Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. They would pay their employees with a little plastic cash card, and instead of a paycheck, and then you were supposed to be able to use that like a debit card and withdraw money or do stuff with it or whatever. And it's just, for me to access my money was next to impossible, especially through my bank. And I had a terrible experience at a Wells Fargo trying to get my money from my paycheck, and the bank causing a scene. I caused a scene, so much so, true story. The bank manager came out and said, "Sir, You're causing a ruckus. I will never, ever forget that. And it was one of the reasons that I considered choosing ruckus as my nom de plume when I eventually became ruckus. All because of my bad experiences at a bank one day. Yep.
Wow. Quickly, my experience with Bank of America, I was a very young student, like 18 years old, and I unintentionally overdrew my account by $40. I wrote a bad check, it bounced, right? I wasn't intentionally trying to defraud the bank. It was an honest mistake. Anyway, they put me on I paid it all back, right? As soon as I found out that I'd overdrawn my account. But they tried to shame me, and they put me on the bad checklist for 7 years, and I didn't even know such a thing existed. I was like, okay, you guys are assholes. I'm out of here. I don't want to do business with you anymore, Bank of America. And they're like, oh, but wait, you're on the bad checklist. You can't open an account at another bank for 7 freaking years. And that's what they did to me for a $40 bad check that I paid all the fees, the principal of it. And I paid the whole thing off as soon as I found out that it had happened. But yeah, they kept me. They essentially enslaved my banking to. Once you're on the bad checklist, no other bank will even consider opening an account for you. And the only way to get off that list is have the bank take you off, and that would be Bank of America. So not only did they insult me, shame me, overcharge me for overdrawing my unsecured loan. So one thing people need to realize, every deposit you make to a commercial bank is essentially an unsecured loan that you're giving that bank at 0% interest. But you go the other way and try to overdraw your account, and they make you a slave to them for 7 years. And so that was my experience with the Bank of America.
A taste of things to come. Social credit scores will be so much better, Sam.
So much better. Okay, more about what is going on there in Venezuela. Are we going to do regime change? Here's more. Apparently we attacked a submarine, but don't you worry, Ruggles. They're all drug narco traffickers, and we trust in Trump.
That was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines, and that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
See, I mean, there's nothing to worry about. Here's Maduro. He is worried. Venezuelan officials proposed a plan for President Maduro to step down in 3 years and hand over power to his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, but the United States rejected it, calling Maduro's rule illegitimate. Maduro and Rodriguez dismissed the reports as fake news. That's a report out of AP. So he's giving United States concessions. Don't freaking whack me. Here he is in Spanish. Venezuela president says Venezuela is preparing for an all-out confrontation with the CIA, accusing the agency of orchestrating coups and assassinations across Latin America for decades. He's not wrong. He is not wrong there at all. Let's hear translated with English subtitles from Maduro here now.
Unidos decide mandar a la CIA para Venezuela. ¿Ustedes vieron la noticia? Autorizaron que la CIA haga operaciones contra Venezuela, contra la paz de Venezuela. Eso nunca se había visto. Siempre lo han hecho. Siempre lo han hecho. Pero jamás ningún gobierno anterior, desde que la CIA existe, dijo públicamente que mandaba a la CIA a matar, a derrocar y a acabar a los países. Aquí está un historiador. Alejandro. Nunca, Alejandro. Y pueden revisar la historia de los últimos 70 años. Todos los golpes de Estado en América Latina. 1974, Guatemala, Jacobo Arben. 1965, República Dominicana, Juan Bosch. 1964, Brasil, Joao Goulart. 1973. Chile, Salvador Allende. Solo para contar unos pocos, todos los golpes de Estado en América Latina, comprobados por los documentos publicados por el gobierno de...
He's not wrong, Ruckus.
Nope. Makes you wonder. I mean, some of us have been asking these questions. It's like, well, we all know they've been doing this. How do we know? Well, turns out that the classified documents eventually get declassified and they get caught with their pants down and nobody seems to know or care about, or they just move on like, hey, it's okay, nobody gets in trouble. But the bigger point here is like, why are they doing it out in the open? That's a little different because, yes, they don't normally do these things. Hey, here's what we're doing out in the open like they are. And I'm just like, that is ultra concerning to me. It's almost like they are either they're so drunk with power, which makes them extremely more dangerous than usual because they could just like, oops, and there goes the whole world, Armageddon style, right? The nuclear football or whatever. Or, I mean, what do they know? What do they know that we don't know? What's coming? What are they? What's the ultimate end goal here? Well, like nothing matters. It was, man. How can you be so brazen? Don't you believe don't you think that there's going to be like, hey, there's people are going to vote again in 4 years. Maybe they might not be looking at this, be like, hey, we want 4 more years of this. It's almost like they're not planning on relinquishing power anytime soon, Sam.
That's what Newsom said. Remember, Newsom said there's not going to be elections in 2028.
Maybe he was right.
Maybe he was right. Maybe technocracy is already in full charge and we don't even need these puppets and we just have...
There could be something happening behind the scenes while things are closed, right? Usually they fix things and renovate things, right?
They're fixing it real good right now with no human oversight. Okay. This just came out. Thankfully, the Department of War is on blue sky now, and so that just came across my notification. So here you go. The Department of War is on liberal social media blue sky. They want us to know. So go over there and troll them on blue sky, and you may get droned. Okay, on to, yeah, it looks like we're going to do something there. I do believe that we already have the CIA on the ground in Venezuela. And they have for a very long time trying to foment revolution, to overthrow Maduro there. And if they can't get that to work, they'll just go in hard and shoot him in the head. Apparently here now is where we're very close to being. I'll get out of the way. I know you guys are serious. Don't whack me, bro. And Trump basically said, F you. You know what I mean? So what do you do with that? Oil, natural gas resources found right there off the coast, in Guyana, in Venezuela, so on and so on. So it's really for the drugs. It's not to do with any of these other natural resources that we would go seize along with the UK here at Ruckus. It's to stop the flow of fentanyl into America.
Plus, if past administrations has given us any clue, sometimes the government here likes to be the one in charge of the drug operations. But what do I know?
Yeah, so they got to run everything. They got to run the oil, the drugs, the trafficking, everything. Any competition, you will be whacked. Okay, on to, well, here's the video put out by Republicans shaming Chuck Schumer and about his hypocrisy over the government shutdown, the most base thing Chuck Schumer's ever done in his entire life. And he doesn't even know how to take credit for this great achievement. Here's a Republican mashup exposing Chuck Schumer's hypocrisy on the government shutdown.
Each day our case gets better and better. What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I am going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis.
Our military won't get paid, Head Start teachers won't get paid, our wildfire fighters won't get paid.
No, we as Montanans believe in pulling our weight and standing by our country, and we think you should do the same thing. So it's time to reopen the government and end the Schumer shutdown.
Quit playing political games. Open the federal government. Get back to work, Senator Schumer.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats holding our government hostage have clearly shown they don't care that American citizens are suffering.
I can't take it anymore. Who are these losers? They got to be government workers out of Montana there. That was posted by Steve Daines, Republican senator out of Montana. What a bunch of losers.
Does it culminate in a supercut where they all say the same line at the same time? And this is very dangerous to our democracy. The Schumer shutdown. That's kind of catchy, though.
The Schumer shutdown. More propaganda out of the White House.
That could be a band name. I'm going to look into that.
Schumer shutdown. And Schumer, this is the greatest political victory of his career, and he can't seem figure out how to claim victory here now. It's very sad for old Chuck Schumer. He'll fall down like Mitch McConnell did yesterday. This is very professional. We had an F-bomb from Trump all over the media, and the White House is putting out this video mocking Democrats.
And then you got Caroline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense. And then you got Caroline.
Is he talking about the Cabbage Patch doll lady?
He's talking about the bald head press secretary woman. Yeah.
He said she was the official White House press. Is that true?
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I didn't know things were that bad. I'm just kidding.
We are on a government shutdown.
I thought she was just temporary or something, but
she lasted longer than most. Here's more from Trump about the $1.5 trillion that Democrats want to give to illegal aliens that they claim.
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion, and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system.
Does he mean health care or drugs?
He means sick care, but he doesn't understand what's going on because he got all his boosters. Okay. Here's more Trump on old Chuck Schumer.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for the king. This is
more
not
than
a king. They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Yeah, well, Chuck is, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this. And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. Giveaways, welfare programs, etc. And we're doing that. And we're.
Is Chuck Schumer dead? Trump just said Chuck Schumer's dead.
And is this a real rule, or is this like the house rules, like when you're playing Monopoly at your friend's house and they're like, oh, that's not really.
They just make up whatever they want.
They're like, so I have the right to just get rid of these things that nobody wanted anyways. Because they just randomly made their way there. Just magically, they fell from the sky. There wasn't a single person on the planet, and even if it was just one or two people, whether there was malintentioned or not, clearly, obviously, somebody somewhere wanted these things for God knows whatever reason. Most of them are ridiculous, but both sides do that. But for him to be so disingenuous to suggest suggests that this gives him the right, although he's not a king. Don't get confused. You see, because he's only acting like one. I know it gets like, you're like, wait a minute, is he or isn't he? No, he's not really. With just pretends like he's not, but he is. But he acts like one, but he's not going to be one. He's crazy. This is all crazy. I'm happy to finally see the interview with him with Maria, because the other day he did the full. He was up in front of everybody and doing an important thing, and then he just stopped himself in the middle. He's like, "Oh, look, everybody, Maria's here. You know, I'm doing an interview with her later." It was just, I'm like, "What is this? This is the craziest stuff I've ever seen." And here we are.
MAGA's missing opportunity to be based here, being outbased by Chuck Schumer. Here is the Chris Wright crying about the government shutdown, Secretary of Energy. Let's watch this short clip. They should own it and be proud of the government shutdown, but all these clowns have lost the plot.
Of course, we keep people for emergency services. Our existing nuclear stockpile will be secure and will be ready. But the modernization program to replace our older weapons with new modern weapons, that's a key part of my job. We're just ramping those efforts up. We're just getting momentum there. To have everybody unpaid and not coming to work, that will not be helpful. I'm adamantly in favor of ending this shutdown as soon as we can. Unfortunately, Chuck Schumer's worried more about AOC than America's nuclear safety.
Is that true?
Well, that guy said so good enough for me.
It's the energy secretary. They're concerned about America's nuclear stockpile, saying that Chuck Schumer's putting politics ahead of our national security.
Schumer's more worried about AOC. Are we talking about the same AOC? Does he mean like Alexandria Ocasio?
Because they're saying that she's going to primary him in the New York Senate race. And somehow his politics are appeasing the radical left wing of the Democrat Party.
I get it. This is
the
like
narrative that's the narrative that Trump administration and Republicans are pushing as to why Chuck Schumer would not whip the votes in the Senate to pass the continuing resolution, which is fraudulent in and of itself, to keep the government funded here now is their narrative.
It makes sense. I mean, they want us to believe that the stock market crashed the second time over cooking oil because, cooking oil. Mm-hmm.
The Democrats shut down. This is from the Russ Vogt here, the Office of Management and Budget Director. He says the Democrat shutdown has drained the Army Corps of Engineers' ability to manage billions of dollars in projects. The Corps will be immediately pausing over $11 billion in lower priority projects and considering them for cancellation, including projects in New York, San Francisco, Boston, and Baltimore. More information to come from the Army Corps of Engineers. So now I saw Newsom's office saying our levees here now in California will collapse due to this.
Is that a threat or a promise?
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Stay dry, everybody.
Stay dry. Your levee just may collapse because of Chuck Schumer. That make no damn sense. They'll send out a freaking patsy to go blow up a levee, for God's sake.
Maybe it'll be AOC herself.
Maybe it will be. So, yeah, hey, Trump's a big physical conservative, as we all know. Oh, well, no, it actually turns out that we're looking at, for this fiscal year of government, a $1.8 trillion deficit. And so at this rate, it is unsustainable. We're already almost at $38 trillion in official U.S. national debt here now. And this thing is spinning out of control. Let me just throw it up there, U.S. debt clock quickly. Next time we check back in on this, it'll probably be 38 trillion because it was like 37.5 like a week ago or something. I don't even know at what pace this thing's going, but faster than you could see right there, just clicking off the just going faster than you can see there, Ruckus. Yeah, it's not sustainable to run 1 point.
I can't look at the debt clock without what's that stuff you take when you get like seasickness? I forgot the name of that crap.
We cannot run a $1.8 trillion deficit in this country. That means your government has failed. Your Congress has failed here now, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
We could probably use a little bit of a reset or something, yeah.
Almost like it was all baked into the cake, the Great Reset. So all that's going on. Are you going to be attending the No Kings rallies this weekend? And I don't even know what you do there. Yell at the sky. There's no real clear purpose. I guess just protest Trump, but somehow if a Democrat's in there, anything's any different. I don't know, but I went to the last one over here in Fresno. It was peaceful. I was trying to find somebody to tell me that because the narrative at that time, they're all paid protesters. This is totally astroturf. And I was like, yeah, I could see on their website they got big liberal nonprofits, NGOs organizing this whole thing, but boots on the ground in Fresno, I couldn't find anyone to admit that they were paid to be there and protest. And I even went to these little stations they had set up, handing out free water and bars. And I asked the guys there, and they said, no, this is all our own donations, nothing from anybody else but me, Joe Blow, private citizen. Were they lying? I don't know, but that's what
you're so nice, Sam. You're so well-meaning and trusting in people. You don't understand that's part of the deal. They're told when they're given the money, because they are all funded, and this is all fake. It's paid by George Soros. We all know this, right? And so they're said, listen, you cannot tell anybody, even if they ask, that you got this money. We are going to send people throughout the day, at least once every hour. We will be asking you, trying to see if you're going to rat us out. And if you rat us out, not only will you lose the money, but remember your sister at home that we got like locked up in the closet, buddy? Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. You never know, though. Yeah.
You never know. I'm still, maybe somebody will slip up and admit it.
And I'm not going to none of those protests. I'm not planning on going to any of those protests. However, we do live in a world where, like, come Monday morning, I could get a knock at the door or no knock at the door. I could have the door kicked in and me removed and told that the reason was because I attended the No Kings protest. They could even probably show me a picture of me there, and I'd be like, holy moly, I really don't even remember being there because I probably wasn't really. It was probably a deep fake video. But so I'm not planning on going, but there's always a slight possibility that I quote unquote did, right?
I may go here in Fresno. I don't know yet. It depends.
Maybe you already did.
Maybe
you did already. Yeah,
I did already the first one. I may go again tomorrow and bring you reporting from Fresno, No Kings.
Be fun.
We'll see how tomorrow sorts out. Okay, continuing here. Trump says he is commuting George Santos's fraud sentence. And so we needed that on this Friday. The disgraced Republican lawmaker had been sentenced to prison after his credentials and career unraveled because he basically lied about everything. His whole background story and all this was all a lie, and he committed a bunch of fraud. But Trump found it in his heart to commute his sentence today. So no one's above the law here in America, Ruckus, except for corrupt politicians.
Well. if you're of one particular party and that party happens to be in power right now, then you're good to
go. Trump issued a statement, True Social Post. George Santos was somewhat of a, quote, rogue, but there are many rogues throughout our country that aren't forced to serve 7 years in prison. He broke a bunch of laws and was convicted. I mean, but yeah, whatever. It's I guess that's the president's prerogative.
Can I fraud people and steal money and lie and cheat and all that stuff too, Trump? Is that what you're saying?
Are you a Republican?
I could be.
Then yes,
No.
yes, indeed. Indeed, then that's perfectly reasonable. Okay, continuing here, how dozens of Trump's donors have benefited from his second term. Financial Times reporting, behind Trump's rapidly growing billion-dollar crypto empire, and House Oversight Committee investigating Trump's controversial $200 million White House ballroom. And the mashup from that, those headlines are donor benefits overview. At least 30 major donors have contributed over $116 million to Trump causes post re-election. Bribery. Anybody receiving swift benefits like regulatory relief, pay for play, anybody, pardons, or policy reversals, raising quid pro quo concerns without direct evidence of illegality. Record post-election funding, over $92.5 million in donations flowed in after Trump's presidential victory, including $240 million for his inauguration, as we covered all that, and nearly $200 million to MAGA Inc. Super PAC, despite his term limits. Crypto regulatory easing. Trump disbanded a DOJ crypto enforcement unit and appointed a business-friendly SEC chair. Donors like Tim Draper, $1 million, as one example, to MAGA Inc. benefited from lighter regulations shortly after his contribution. Almost like we're facing a regulatory capture, as Bobby Kennedy Jr. likes to call it, in the federal government, and it's simply pay to play. If you got $1 million, you just donate it to MAGA Inc., and the wheels of justice will turn for you, as is evidenced by these events. Okay, the Winklevoss twins, that's these crypto Bitcoin bro twin dudes, they donated $3 million to Trump's Political Action Committee. Weeks later, the SEC dropped a probe into their Gemini exchange. I don't know how, it was just a coincidence, you see, which then went public and invested in Trump-linked crypto firm. This is all just a coincidence, a big misunderstanding. And that $3 million donation to MAGA Inc. had nothing to do with the SEC dropping the probe into, yeah, okay. Coinbase and Crypto.com relief. Coinbase and its co-founders donated $1 million each to the inauguration. The SEC withdrew lawsuits against Coinbase in February. It's just in your face, but MAGA, we care about, we're getting the bad guys, we're weeding out the corruption. Justin Sun's investment and pause. Crypto mogul Justin Sun invested $75 million in Trump family linked projects, earning a White House dinner and a federal court paused an SEC case against him in February. There's more. Pardons tied to donations. Donors like Trevor Milton donated $920,000 to MAGA Inc. and Elizabeth Fago $1 million to MAGA Inc. Saw family members or themselves pardoned weeks later for fraud, tax evasion, and other SEC matters. TikTok ban delay for donors. Trump postponed a TikTok ban on day one. Investor Jeff Yass donated $16 million that same day as further extension as a further extension was announced, leading to a deal benefiting Yass and other shareholders. White House ballroom probe launched. The Oversight Committee is scrutinizing the $200 million gold-plated ballroom renovation, questioning if foreign governments are funding it amid a government shutdown, calling it an outrageous monstrosity. Tech settlement funding project. Google settled a $24.5 million Trump lawsuit over his YouTube ban post January 6th. with $22 million allocated to the White House Ballroom and National Mall Trust. Similar deals were reached with Meta for $25 million and X for $10 million, highlighting donor involvement in these lawsuits. Wow. It's all just a coincidence, and I'm sure there were weak cases against these donors, but hey, give Trump $1 million and you could keep on with your fraud, apparently.
And how much has Aardvark Land contributed?
That's antiseptic to even talk about.
So sorry, but hey, listen, folks, be careful what you ask for, right? All you crypto bros and hoes, I guess, because whatever, I guess there's some females that like to buy the dip, as it were. Cheese and crackers, man. Y'all were like, this is great. We got a crypto-friendly president. We got a crypto-friendly administration. This is going to be awesome. I hope everybody is enjoying their winning. Are you tired of winning yet? I know I'm tired of winning. I'm so tired of winning. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been out of crypto, like ever, like I'm never touching that crap ever again. And it's all thanks to the crypto-friendly president and his crypto-friendly administration, because they showed me just how awesome it is, and I'm being sarcastic. Garbage. They ruined a good thing. This is your freedom money. You gave it to the banksters, and now they're just smearing it all over their naked bodies in some sort of weird, disgusting, like self-grandalizing orgy of like wealth cacophony. It's crazy what they're doing with this stuff, and everyone else, the little guys, are just getting wrecked. They're like, but they said buy Bitcoin. Yeah, you do that, buddy. Buy Bitcoin. You probably should have bought the gold, like a lot of people have been saying. But how are those boomers doing who bought the gold back in the day for like a sack of corn, right? They're living it up, Sam.
A sack of corn. Gold, by the way, record high yesterday. It did dip today down to $4,250, losing $75. I assume some profit taking there in the market. And silver hanging tough down to $51 an ounce there, but still hanging tough over 50, and so still looking good as far as I'm concerned. Bitcoin back up another 400 some odd dollars to 106,875. So it's like hanging in there, and as you would expect at these all-time record highs, some people are going to sell and take profits. So there's your roundup on the closing of those commodities in the market. Okay, California, maybe the feds are going to get somebody in trouble. U.S. attorney here now, Bill Esseley, announces California Democrats mishandled millions of federal dollars meant for housing homeless. But Gavin Newsom told me he solved the homeless crisis. I don't know. Let's hear this. One guy used $2.1 million to pay for his American Express credit cards. Like, if they're doing this fraud, can't they structure it a little better? I guess they figure no one would ever look. I don't know.
Epidemic. California state officials failed to provide meaningful oversight over the individuals who received most of these funds, and they had little to no answers to the public's demand for accountability. Well, that accountability starts today. Today we are announcing significant developments into our investigation. We're making public 2 criminal cases relating to 2 separate real estate developers who were involved in misappropriating millions of state funds intended to combat homelessness. This morning, federal agents arrested Cody Holmes, a 31-year-old Beverly Hills resident and the former CFO of Shangri-La Industries, a downtown LA-based developer of affordable housing, for defrauding the Home Key program that is administered by the state of California. The program awarded grant money, which included federal tax dollars, for specific projects to convert motels into housing for the homeless and to operate the units. By April of 2022, Shangri-La Industries, where Holmes was the CFO, had co-applied with multiple California cities to convert numerous properties in California, including a location in Thousand Oaks. The state asked for proof that the company had the financial capacity to build all the projects. In response, Holmes and Shangri-La knowingly submitted fake bank statements which claimed to show that developer had about $160 million on deposit. Not only were the bank statements fake, our investigation shows that Shangri-La and its affiliates had nowhere near the amount of money they claimed they had in the fake bank statements. The state agency ultimately paid nearly $26 million directly to the developer for the Thousand Oaks project. Even though the developer received all the money from the state, the developer did not complete the construction of the Thousand Oaks project. Instead, our investigation has showed that at least $2.2 million was diverted to pay Mr. Holmes's American Express bill.
That's bold, man. That is bold. You got to give them credit for the boldness of their fraud there, Ruckus.
Who racks up an American Express bill that high? What the F?
The guy's living large, man.
Well,
living large.
Probably the dude's wife. Just saying.
He's living large there. But cracking down here, the feds are allegedly in California. Okay, let's take our live commercial break here. Now, Ruckus, until we get into the second half of the show, I want to, and by the way, shout out to Sandwich Time. He said, wait a minute, in a message, I believe on YouTube yesterday, he said, wait a minute, the government shut down, but I got my check and they still took money out. What's going on here? Well, yeah, you still have to pay taxes even though the government shut down. And so that will continue the extortion of your pay. So, yeah, and I'm working on other shirt designs here now and other designs, and Ruckus has volunteered to help me do some type of transparency to put the Weaponized News logo on other colors, because we're kind of limited to white now because it's a black design. But we're going to try to sort around that. And we just talked to Plutonium on the messages, and he's looking for some work safety gear with possible Weaponized News logo on it. So we'll try to integrate that. But here is, and I'm trying to do a shirt a day, or at least an idea a day, a hat, a shirt, something for the Weaponized News store. Here's what I came up with today. Weaponizednews.com, break the mind control graphic shirt there. And so that's the new offering for today. Break the mind control at weaponizednews.com. Just simply go to the top right here and go to the store, and you can find all of the new offerings by Weaponized News. All right, Ruckus, go ahead and plug.
Yeah, head on over to alternatecurrentradio.com if you're looking for stuff, including the Boiler Room, of course, but you'll also find the Daily Ruckus stuff, the Roundabout Ruckus stuff, Sunday Wire stuff. You'll find other stuff that's interesting, like Mystical American Patriot Society and the Odd Man Out podcast. But yeah, most importantly, this is where you find the home for the Daily Ruckus, which is technically all about me and the things that I do. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, that's where you go. You'll also find links to my social medias, how you can donate, how you can contact me, where you can check out my merchandise. I have t-shirts too. They're not as cool as Sam's, though. I got to work on that. But yeah, so just head on over there and yeah, hit me up on X if you would, if you're looking for. Maybe you're like, I wish I could sell t-shirts, but I don't know how to design one, and I don't want to use ChatGPT. Maybe I'll pay Ruckus $5 to make me a cool t-shirt, and I'll sell it and make $1 million. Yeah, send me a DM to the AC_wordslinger, because I do designs and websites and writing and stuff like that as the wordslinger. There you go, Sam.
Thank you for those messages, Ruckus. It could happen. Your design could go mega viral and sell 1 million copies for all we know. I doubt it because of the interweb censorship, but we still work hard every day to try to get the message out here for you. And we're going to try to be optimistic about our technocratic future here. Okay, on to the second half of the show. Welcome back to October 17th, 2025, Friday edition of Weaponized News. The second half of the show, we still have quite a bit to get to, so I got to pick up the pace here. Where are we at now? I think I may have to actually cut some out. There was a tragic event there in Alaska. There was a typhoon that we'll have to report here. the U.S. Coast Guard rescued 34 people and also successfully helped evacuate an additional 28 people from a temporary shelter. They're in Alaska, and you can see some of the damage there by a typhoon. And we thank Ice Barbie of Homeland Security for reporting this to us. There, typhoon in western Alaska. More Ice Barbie, or FBI actually, first ever Antifa terror lockup. And so the FBI is claiming that Antifa-aligned anarchist extremists have been hit with federal terrorism charges after a July 4th attack on an ICE facility in Texas. So they're charging them with federal terrorism charges. And then here is propaganda from the Department of Homeland Security. This is the surge. We're still waiting for mass deportations, but the propaganda will continue even as the government shutdown lingers.
We're going to have a surge of strong, good people, patriots, and they're going to go in, they straighten it all out.
I had to kill the music for copyright. So see, the good guys, the patriots are in charge, Ruckus, as Trump just told us there.
You know how you know? Because they got the slamming music, bro.
Protect
that really
her.
Sells it, right?
I think, I don't know if is this a replay? I think they did this one, but they posted it today. So there's your propaganda poster there from the Department of Homeland Security. ICE amps up its surveillance powers targeting immigrants and Antifa. Huh? Yeah. So ICE has been rapidly building out its surveillance capabilities in recent weeks, signing a string of contracts for technologies to identify individuals by their irises, or facial features, so facial recognition, and to monitor their cell phone activities. And of course, we don't need no stinking warrants. Yeah, so they're building out this technocratic surveillance police state for our own good to get the illegals. But again, what are you going to do when and if they deport all the illegals? Then they have all this surveillance infrastructure to go after dissenters against this tyrannical government, Ruckus.
I really didn't think it was going to be the border guard people, the immigration people that were going to be the front lines of installing the technocratic grid control system. But here we are, wild stuff. I really thought the way things are headed were like, maybe it won't happen for another couple decades. And the ones who are going to be on the streets forcing everybody to scan their eyeballs is going to be Space Force. No, it's ICE, everybody. It's ICE. Neat.
It's ICE. What are you for, illegal immigration?
You know, it makes sense now that ICE is going to scan your eyes, right?
And it's all set up. This was all part of the conspiracy. That's why no one from the previous administration has gotten in trouble, except for Bolton, maybe. We'll get to him. Here's F around. This is your very professional Department of Homeland Security posting this video. They say, F around and find out. And so they have no problems cussing as well, apparently.
These hoes on my dick because I'm fly like a jet. They gonna be surprised when they...
Jeez. And they have no problem with copyright either, apparently, because I'm getting flagged all over the place for this crap. I didn't want to play that stupid music, you know what I mean? But anyway, that was a video posted by the Department of Homeland Security. And apparently they're saying, do you think this is real, Ruggles? They're saying that Mexican drug cartels have put hits out on federal agents to dox them and to assassinate them for $50,000. That's what Department of Homeland Security and the government are saying. Do you believe this is real, or are they playing the victim here?
3 words to quote a good friend of mine. Cool story, bro.
And then on to Chicago, Pritzker Chicago 5 says Pritzker defends Illinois' bill that allows non-citizens to become police officers. And so it's again back to the story. There are no good guys. There are no good guys in this. There's no good guys in this story. I'm sorry to tell you there now. Yeah. So why not have non-citizens? New Illinois law allows non-citizens to become police officers there in Illinois.
Man, this is great. They should combine all these plans together into one. We send the National Guard and ICE in there to clean up the drugs and the crime and the gang members, and ICE takes all the illegal citizens, but instead of deporting them, they convert them into police officers to help keep the streets and the crime down. This is perfect, bro. It's like a work to release. What's that program called or whatever?
Work release. Yeah, well,
there you go.
Hire the illegals, make them ICE, and then have them deport their fellow illegal aliens, and they can work off.
You're going to be deporting us, Sam. I think you're confused.
Damn it. Okay. The technocracy's here, and Big Brother in the UK is rolling it out at a rapid pace. We wouldn't have it any other way. Digital veteran card could be case study for ID rollout. Headline out of BBC there. And what is this about? As was announced last week or about 2 weeks ago, UK we got to have digital ID there because the immigrants are coming in boats, and somehow, service meets innovation. The digital veteran card is here. And so I guess they figure if they can get veterans out of the UK on board with this, that will convince the rest of the population that it's not all that bad to have a social credit score digital ID that we defeated during the medical intervention period that was going to be your miracle passport. It's essentially the exact same thing, but now under the guise of veterans' convenient access to their benefits in the UK. Ruckus?
It could work. The UK is known for one thing and one thing only. I mean, it's known for a lot of things, but they're definitely well known for how much respect every single person who lives in the UK has for their veterans. That's all they think about. I mean, they think about the royal family. They come first, but then immediately followed by the veterans who have sacrificed their lives for His or Her Majesty, whoever happens to have been the one at the time. But yes, so they're, I mean, I don't know, man. To me, it's just dirty. It's not like they're doing it like, hey, if these guys jump on board, then maybe everyone else. It seems like they're going to force it on this particular group of people because they're going to be the pushovers. And I think it is actually the opposite of respect, and it's probably disrespectful, and it's probably a jab at these fine folks.
They know they're due benefits from the government, so they're going to tell them, hey, you either get this digital ID or you're not getting your benefits, veterans. Yep. You see? Right from the UK government website here, they say building the foundations for digital government. The digital veteran card is the first digitized credential to be stored and shared from the gov.uk one login app. It allows users to securely store government issued documents on their smartphones and use them easily when needed, which represents our vision for a more accessible, user-centered government. As the first digital document to be stored in the gov.uk one login app, this paves the way for us to add more credentials over time. And as we extend this functionality, we will move to talk about it as the gov.uk wallet. Each edition brings us closer to our vision of reducing bureaucracy and creating public services that are more responsive to people's needs. And it begins with veterans. As the digital veteran card is rolled out across the UK, we're committed to continuous improvement through user testing and feedback. These insights will directly shape future digitized documents, creating an increasingly seamless experience for users. You see, it's all for our own convenience and benefit here, Ruckus, and we should actually be cheering it on.
You know who else are users, right? Drug addicts.
Here's a flashback of now the second richest man in the world. I guess it fluctuates between him and Musk. Larry Ellison in 2013 suggesting that if Americans don't like the NSA, that it doesn't matter because they're already, as private companies, this I think speaking as the head of Oracle, they already have all your financial data, and he's literally, yeah. So let's hear from 2003 flashback to one of our technocratic overlords.
Rose of CBS This Morning wanted to know what tech tycoon Larry Ellison thought of privacy in the age of the internet. Ellison is CEO of Oracle Corporation, which makes a lot of the hardware that makes the internet work. His personal net worth is $43 billion, which Forbes magazine says makes Ellison the third richest American. Charlie spoke with him in his home in California.
Where do you come down on what NSA is doing?
Well, great thing is we live in a democracy. If we don't like what NSA is doing, we can just get rid of the government and put in a different government. I think
that's not true. That's not true. It doesn't matter what puppet government's there, the NSA remains.
Actually, we've been collecting this information for so long, and long before NSA was collecting it. Let me tell you who was collecting it. American Express, Bank of Visa, all of your credit card data. We have all of your financial records. This whole issue of privacy is utterly fascinating to me. Who's ever heard of this information being misused by the government? In what way?
Well, I just hear you clearly. You're saying whatever the NSA is doing is okay with me.
It's great. It's great. It's essential. By the way, President Obama thinks it's essential. It's essential if we want to minimize the kind of strikes that we just had in Boston. It's absolutely essential.
But what point would it be alarming for you in terms of government surveillance? At what point would your red line be crossed?
If the government used it to do political targeting, if the Democrats used it to go after Republicans, if the Republicans used it to go after Democrats. In other words, if it became we stopped looking for terrorists and we started looking for people with on the other side of the aisle.
We're there. We're there. They've done that. They've done that now. Thoughts on the flashback clip from Larry Ellison?
Sorry about the coffee mug there. I forgot that. Yeah, no, that's my thought about that guy, man. I still can't tell. Did he look younger in that video or in the video I just saw of him the other day? It's kind of weird. I can't tell the difference. That's the problem with these tech. Why is it always the tech bros? Have you noticed this, Sam? They just have this absolute disregard for like things that people like fought and bled for. We were just talking about the veterans, right? Some of these basic freedoms and these rights to keep, keep your privacy and all of this stuff. Like this guy, I find the whole thing, the topic, weird and funny and fascinating to me. We already know everything about you. We have all your bank records. We know which flavor of pornography you like to watch. And we gave it to the aardvarks, by the way, because they asked us to. Oh, anyways, that's another story for another day.
Technocracy's here, man, and it's coming fast. Here is Natalie Winter from Bannon's War Room. She has a report here now. Whose new AI pandemic tool will monitor social media in real time? And so let's take a listen to her report about this. And don't be coughing on the interwebs. You may be forced to quarantine.
I'm just going to give you a punch list of some of the clandestine things the WHO has been doing behind closed doors on the pandemic treaty front, but on the sort of global convergence of, emergency crisis response. But what they don't tell you is that emergency means climate change or racial inequity. Take your pick of woke buzzword. But they created the Public Health and Social Measures Decision Navigator. the 2.0 platform, which will, quote, identify relevant content from websites, social media, and other public sources to identify important health events. It's called the Epidemic Intelligence from Open Sources, and essentially they launched a new AI pandemic tracker that's going to be monitoring and essentially patrolling social media to see what kind of misinformation they need to crack down on. They're fusing essentially new AI tools to be able to do this so they can process more sources, get probably more of your social media posts, more of the war room clips that you share. They've also announced progress, this is another story of mine, on what they call the Pathogen Access and Benefit Sharing System. They have a nice little acronym for it, the PABS system, where this one's actually quite wild. They're working on a pandemic-causing pathogen database global sharing initiative. Yes, you heard that right. They didn't learn anything from COVID, or I guess maybe they learned everything if what they cared to learn was how to cause a global pandemic. They're pretty good at that. But they are providing, quotes, catch this, safe, transparent, and accountable access to pathogens with pandemic potential to all WHO member states, not just China, but every country. They also want to guarantee, quote, equitable, rapid, and timely sharing of countermeasures. Buried lead there. What they don't tell you,
There you go. The World Health Organization always looking out for our health and keeping everybody safe, Ruckus.
Good. I'll let them stay on top of that, because if I pay any more attention to that, I'm going to throw up all over the place, and I probably need to wear 5 face masks this time just to feel better, right? I'm not doing none of this pandemic garbage again. They can just take all this stuff and just put it in a wad of paper, and I'm not going to tell you.
Granny, what about Granny?
I'm sorry, I lost my grandmother a long time ago, and so did everybody else. Usually, mostly due to people like Boris Johnson and Cuomo, your local mayors and your governors. It wasn't because you didn't get the jab. We all know who killed Granny.
Oh, man. Zelenskyy at the White House today. We're going to have peace in Russia-Ukraine war, maybe, possibly. See if we can spy a Freemason handshake here, as is customary at the front door there. Now Trump does the old handshake. See if we can spy any Freemason chicanery in the handshake going on here. Oh, we still can't see it. It's blocked again. They've changed the angle.
President Trump, sir, do you believe
that one's not good? We have another one here.
They're on to us.
They're on to us. Let's see if we can spy it here. The Freemason handshake, maybe, possibly. Hard to tell there, Ruckus, at that angle.
No, Trump did the little pathetic elbow rub thing to the guy too. It's like a condescending. That was the condescending handshake from Trump. He does that usually. I've noticed that with anybody who's shorter than him. Maybe it's just the way he is. I don't get it. I think he has a lot of respect for people who are as tall, if not taller, than him. I've noticed that.
Zelenskyy did wear a suit, and Trump complimented him on it, not his usual military fatigues.
And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket. Yeah. It's beautiful. I hope people notice. It's a good.
Well, listen, my friend and colleague Patrick Henningsen, I don't remember what I was watching. Oh, he was on the UK column the other day. It may have been this morning. Things get confused to me sometimes. But he did, yeah, it was this morning. He was on the UK column news today. But Patrick Henningsen made a comment after I was watching them play some clips of Trump from what you were just showing there, and all these different reactions from world leaders over all of this peace negotiations in the Middle East and the Zelenskyy and Putin thing. And as I'm talking to myself out loud, doing whatever I'm in my room, I'm like, man, they're all just sucking Trump's you-know-what. And Patrick Henningsen vocalized that the intelligent way and pointed out how the level of sycophantism, what's the word? He used the word correctly, but like literally every world leader all around the world, they're just sucking up to Trump. Like everything that they do, it's all like, oh, and we have to give a huge round of applause and thank you to Trump. None of this would have been possible without Trump. Like they're all doing it, like every single one of them. And here we go, Zelenskyy. How often does that guy put on a suit? Not very often. What's up with that? Because they're all sucking up to the big guy. Again, what do they know that we don't know? Sam, is, and I'm not a king. Not like, is he secretly the king and they just didn't tell us? He's like the king of the world, and like everyone's like, yeah, Trump. I don't know. I'm just saying.
He's self-proclaimed king of Aardvarkland. And spy in this clip again of Zelensky, how he looks. I hope that your old lady looks at you the way that Zelensky looks at Trump in this clip.
Yep, we can.
Did you catch that?
Hard eyes.
Oh man, but he did put on. He does his. He looks good in his.
He did have a nice jacket, though. I got to admit.
He's cleaned up his act. Okay. Trump on providing Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. It looks like he's going to hold out here till the meeting with Putin, maybe.
So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push Moscow to the negotiation
Yeah,
table?
sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it, but we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
That was about the Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, and that is the big sticking point where we're at here now. Are we going to provide Tomahawk missiles and other long-range systems to allow Ukraine to attack deep inside Russia? And then Russia would counter that by saying, okay, U.S., we now take that as a direct act of war against us by you. So now we're in war with you, America. And we're like right there waiting for this to develop and see what happens. And that was a big part of this meeting today. Trump puts Russia on notice over Ukraine as two leaders prepare to meet. And so again, in Hungary, there's a high-level meeting between Trump and Putin. And maybe Zelensky will sneak in there if he wears a suit. I don't know. You would think he's on the other side of this. So all of this is to prepare for this meeting. Now, again, as we had the Alaska Peace Summit, that didn't do jack. So now we're having this next meeting before we allow Ukraine to use long-range U.S. weapons to attack Russia, is where we're at in all of this ruckus.
I was thinking, if we go to war with Russia, are we going to start bombing fishing boats or something? Is that how this works? We send in the CIA for a little bit of a land operation, maybe?
Or maybe a tunnel? Have you seen this crazy?
There you go.
Have you seen this crazy thing? A proposed tunnel by, where's it at? I thought I had a map of it. We have more of Zelensky. Do we even care to, well, here's how much land, according to German magazine Catapult, here's how much land Russia has occupied there in the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. So it's all right here. Exactly what we've been reporting the entire time. These disputed districts where Ukraine was attacking the residents for many years. Half of them, whatever, said they're Russians. The other half said they're Ukrainians. And Ukraine said, well, we'll have our neo-Nazi Azov and others whack you. And that went on in these regions for many years. And then, of course, the Crimea down there as well. And so this is what is essentially being fought over right now. This estimated 114,500 square meters or kilometers of land right here. And so that's what all this is hinging on. Is Russia going to give any of this land back? So all of that is going to be part of the negotiations. Zelensky said that it was a productive meeting. That was his reply after it. Let's play the clip, I guess. Zelensky says he wants peace. Here he is saying it.
Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on it. Everywhere.
Ukraine wants peace and Putin doesn't. So there's that. Okay, this crazy tunnel idea. Trump says he'll think about Kremlin's Russia-Alaska tunnel pitch. And this was pitched by the Kremlin yesterday, where they're asking if Elon Musk Boring Company can drill a tunnel underneath the Arctic here, linking Alaska and Russia. Here's a graphic of it. And so they're proposing to drill an underground Arctic tunnel here, and I guess have link up points at these little islands, and then, but you could see a tunnel from Alaska to Russia with these link up points on these islands in between, like this, across or under the Bering Straits, essentially.
I wonder what they're trying to put through that tunnel, Sam. What could it be?
Nothing good, I'll tell you that. Nothing good. Where is, we had Trump's reply to the tunnel. Where is it? Maybe we didn't.
Pipelines to tunnels, everybody.
Here it is. Here's Trump's reply when asked about the proposed tunnel project linking up America and Russia and the Bering Strait.
This came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think you liked it. I don't think you liked it.
Zelensky's not happy with this idea.
He's not happy with that idea. Okay, so John Bolton, appointed by Trump to his national security team, first round of Trump administration, has pled not guilty to 18 criminal charges of mishandling classified materials. Here is the Perp walk. I want him in one of those restraining things with the mask over his face so he doesn't eat people like Hannibal Lecter. But this is how he gets to walk into court today.
Security advisor John Bolton arriving at a United States District Court in Greenbelt, Maryland. He is expected to surrender after being indicted on 18 counts over the alleged mishandling of classified documents. Bolton faces 8 counts of transmission of national defense information and 10 counts of retention of national defense information. The documents contained intel on future attacks, foreign missile launches, and human intel sources.
What do we make of old Bolton?
Terribly casual. Just like, hey, how's it going, everybody? Turning myself in now because I'm a dirty criminal, don't you know? Yeah, this is all staged. This is all fake. It's all garbage. Nobody's going to jail.
We're getting the bad guys.
They're indicting these people.
The Patriots are in control, Marcus.
Yeah. That's all we're getting out of this. Is the Q-tards are jumping for joy. They're like, well, that's the last time you're going to see the real Bolton, everybody. That was the real one. And then now if we see him on TV camera, that's his deep fake because they just beheaded him. Yep. Trust the plan or whatever it is they believe. It's the craziest crap, dude. It's wild stuff.
So we got Comey and now we got Bolton, both appointed by Trump. So there you go.
Hold on, justice served. We chopped their heads off or something, or hung them, or we did something.
And you're like, well, why did Trump put these guys under his first administration? Well, you know,
you got part of the plan.
It's part of the plan. Your enemy's closer. You see, there was no error of by Trump's judgment to put these corrupt bastards in positions of power in the first place. You see. Prince Andrew surrenders his royal titles, including Duke of York. Duke. Oh, that's of Earl. Sorry. Here's the official statement out of, so sadly, the monarchy is suffering over there in the UK. Maybe if he had a digital ID saying he's the Duke of York, things will go more smoothly for him here in the future. In discussion with the king and my immediate and wider family, we have concluded the continued accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. I've decided as I always have, to put my duty to my family and country first, I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honors which have been conferred upon me. As I've said previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me. And so there you go. He will keep on with his, underage activities.
Baloney.
Epstein boasted of blackmailing his friends. So why would he do this?
That guy caught. Yeah, because everybody knows they got caught. They literally basically killed that lady, right? Probably, who didn't kill herself or didn't die from an accident or whatever happened to her. But yeah, no, everybody knows this guy was. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this guy was dirty. He was guilty, and so they finally had to do. They have to do the right thing. Sam is all like, so. Well, we can't admit guilt, but we got to do the right. We got to make it look like we're. I know the accusations against me are a distraction from my family, and oh, woe is me. I just can't allow that to happen. So I am the better person, and I'm making the sacrifice for you, the people, because I love you people so much. What a bunch of garbage. Yeah. He was forced to do it. Mommy and daddy said, yo, you screwed the pooch on this one, son. And he was like, yeah, I know. You know what you're going to have to do, right? Yeah, I know. And here we are.
You got exposed carrying out the family tradition. So the King of England, the architect, one of them, or at least publicly kicked off the Great Reset, which we're still in. Seems like MAGA has forgotten here. But for the first time in 500 years, the King will be the first British monarch to pray in public with the Pope. And so maybe he's turned around from his satanic evil ways and he's found Christ. We can only hope. I don't know how you could do that through this Pope, but they're going to put on this show for the public in this distressing times of pedophilia exposure. So,
well, that will definitely not be anywhere close to near any abortion clinic, from what I understand, because that could get you in some hot water praying in public in the UK like that. And I mean, maybe there's an exclusion for the King. Maybe there's an exclusion for the Pope. If there is an exclusion, it's probably more for the King than the Pope, would be my guess. But wild stuff, man. Yep, it's totally okay for them to do it. But don't you plebes go do this on your own. We might have to throw you in prison. And if you see video cameras of them manhandling somebody who is praying in public close to an abortion clinic, you better not share that on social media because you're going to prison too. Yep.
Freedom in the UK. Portuguese parliament bans burqas in public spaces. I don't know what I really make of this. You could, if you wear the beekeeper suit, the burqa, of course, you could face fines of up to ranging from 200 to 4,000 euros for wearing that burqa outfit over there in Portugal.
Wild stuff.
Madagascar, as we've been covering here, has undergone a coup. A revolution of sorts. Now, Colonel Michael Randarine Irina has been sworn in as president following the military takeover. So there's been a full military coup in Madagascar. And now this guy is the head of Madagascar. There he is. Turkey plans to send military equipment, including drones, missiles, and air defenses systems to Syria to back the new leader, al-Shara, who continue to report here, former al-Qaeda, ISIS, internationally known terrorist, now reformed, good-looking young man, president of Syria, is getting military support from Turkey, according to a report out of Bloomberg. So what a rise. This guy needs some kind of award because I don't know how the hell you do it unless you're backed by Western intelligence. How does he do it? He goes from a top world wanted terrorist to now getting a bunch of military grade equipment from Turkey in Syria. So wow. And like this is like less than like a year, right? Talk about a rise to prominence in the world, on the world stage. This guy, Ahmed al-Shara, has pulled off quite a feat here now, Ruckus.
Yeah, it's the environment we live in. I mean, there's a much larger, more well-known terrorist on the world stage right now causing havoc. What was the guy's name? Bibi something, Netanyahu. And look at him. I mean, he's exploded in popularity. He's all over the place hanging out with the president. They love that guy. So I'm not the least bit surprised. Oh, wait a minute. Darn it. I got to be careful what I say sometimes here.
That sounds antiseptic.
Probably.
Not good, actually, in World War terms here. Turkey is set to spend $51 billion on security next year in 2026, a 34% increase in military spending. And the rationale behind it, Turkey is saying to drive modernization of their military. So a massive arms buildup coming now from Turkey there.
I've seen all these modernization that they want to do to all the militaries, and I'm just like, what's the damn point? They're going to have like drones versus robots versus this is crazy. None of it makes any sense to me anymore. I don't understand. Is there really going to be a human left actually fighting each other, or is it just going to be like we're all like we got like the iron domes and we're all protecting ourselves from an onslaught of robots, and then the robots defend us from the other robots, and maybe every once in a while one gets through and we lost little Billy and Susie that day. So sad.
That's what's happening, man. That's what's happening. A 28-year-old former security guard at the United States Embassy in Oslo was convicted of spying for Russia and Iran. He was sentenced to 3 years and 7 months in prison for sharing embassy security details and diplomatic information. That's a report out of ABC News. A Polish court refused to extradite a Ukrainian man. Vladimir Z was his name. You gotta love this. Wanted by Germany for his alleged involvement in the 2022 Nord Stream pipeline explosions. We were told Putin blew up his own pipelines. I still believe that. And ordered his release. The judge ruled he may have functional immunity if acting for Ukraine, making Germany's request inadmissible. And that's a report out of Reuters. So that crazy, mysterious Vladimir Z man that blew up the pipelines, he's now a free man. And so there you go. Oh man, you can't even make this stuff up. You can't make it up, but that's where we are. And aforementioned here, Afghanistan instructed its forces to maintain a ceasefire as long as Pakistan refrains from attack. I do believe, do we have a, no, we don't. Saudi Arabia here now. Trump's looking to bring Saudi Arabia into the fold of the Abraham Accords there. I guess we'll play this short clip from Trump as they still are acting like there's peace in the Middle East.
I hope to see Saudi Arabia go in, and I hope to see others go in. I think when Saudi Arabia goes in, everybody goes in, highly respected. And the Crown Prince, who's also the Prime Minister and the King in waiting, his father's such a wonderful man. He's still healthy, and he's still...
Saudi Arabia is wonderful. It's a monarchy dictatorship that beheads you for stepping out of line. They attacked us on 9/11. Yeah, they're wonderful. You know what I mean?
It's very pretty out there,
though. So I guess one good thing, I do agree with Trump administration on this. Pushing back against the UN global carbon tax. UN shipping agency delays decision on carbon price under U.S. pressure. Report out of Reuters here now. So I do agree that we should not be signing up for a UN global carbon tax. The United States and Saudi Arabia strongly oppose carbon price on shipping. Trump urged countries to vote no to the emissions reduction measure. Majority of 57 countries voted to delay the decision. 47 opposed. Industry groups and environmental lobbies disappointed by the delay. And so they're going to delay this by a year, putting on this global carbon tax emission. It is not clear when a carbon price would enter into force, even if a consensus could be found next year, as the budget managers had envisioned. Ships would only pay for emissions from 2028. And so it looks like the Trump administration has killed the global carbon tax as of now on the United Nations, coming out of the United Nations. But don't you worry, it will constantly be there, sitting in the background, waiting until the right corrupt puppet from America signs off on it.
Good on Trump. And that was a war against humanity. So I think he technically stopped yet another war, Sam.
Trump saving our lives, and we didn't even know. We're like, what? Yep, saved your life again. So thank you, President Trump. Promises made, promises broken. And then our famous line here.
Ignore the panicans and trust in President Trump.
There you go. This crazy story came across the wires today. FBI arrests alleged pro-Hamas October 7th attacker living in Louisiana. What? Yeah. There's this terrorist that was part of the worst attack in the history of the world, got rounded up by the feds in Indiana. Let's watch this short report from earlier today. Maybe this is the bad man cut off all those babies' heads that was debunked and never happened. I don't know.
Fox News alert: the FBI arresting an alleged October 7th attacker living in Louisiana. Federal prosecutors say the 33-year-old man took part in the Hamas attack on Israel, then traveled to the U.S. on a fraudulent visa. Senior correspondent Jonathan Seri has more on.
There you go.
I had trouble hearing that, but I thought she said 33. Did she say he was 33 years old?
I don't think so, no. Did they say he was 33? Let's see. Cell tower data placed his phone inside aardvark land, and that's where they're saying how they're tracking this guy. Evidence shows that, according to cell phone data, this guy was there, and so they're saying that he materially funded terrorist activities. I don't know, but they got the bad guy, so we're safe now. Again. Okay, here's propaganda right out of the White House. News reacts to peace in the Middle East. Let's watch this short clip from the White House. But they are still whacking Palestinians.
The power of the American presidency and the way President Trump utilizes it to get things done.
Donald Trump's sheer force of personality. There are not many men, not many leaders who can walk into the Knesset in Israel to such rapturous applause, such a warm welcome, and then, less than an hour later, appear in a room of world leaders, Arab and Muslim leaders, and have the same kind of warm welcome. It really is his force of nature which has managed to make this happen.
They see the strength of the United States, and they see the United States' indispensable leadership on the world stage.
I think the president does deserve to take a victory lap, considering what has been accomplished today.
I mean, the United States of America today, and its president, Donald Trump, is at the forefront of the most important thing going on in this world, the release of these hostages and the possibility of a standing peace in the Middle East.
It was a joyous day of images of people celebrating genuine, deep happiness.
It's been a day of dramatic split-screen moments, and none more so than the sight of President Trump addressing the Israeli parliament at the final moment as the final hostages crossed out of Gaza and aid trucks rolled freely into Gaza. The result was, after 2 years now of brutal war, the unmistakable hope, the feeling in the air that something big had finally changed.
This achievement, and it is a significant achievement, would not have happened without United States leadership. President Trump deserves a lot of credit.
For the first time in 2 years, over 2 years, 738 days, Hamas holds no living hostages in its captivity.
Well, I think President Trump needs to know that we really thank him, and it was hard for us to say it in advance because we couldn't really believe that was true. 20 hostages are actually coming, all of them are alive, all of them look good, and the fact that he made it, he promised and he kept his word, and hostages are here, is just amazing, and we want to thank him for that.
Thank you, Your Majesty Trump. I mean, President Trump. Damn it.
And then here's what's really behind it. Who is Miriam Adelson? Report out of the Clash report.
Who's the billionaire that Trump says changed U.S. policy on Israel? Meet Miriam Adelson, an Israeli-American physician, businesswoman, and one of the richest women in the world. She was born in Tel Aviv in 1945, served as a military doctor, and later married casino magnate Sheldon Adelson. When he died, she inherited much of his fortune, including control of Las Vegas Sands and even the Dallas Mavericks. She's known for donating about $100 million to Trump's 2024 campaign and has long supported conservative and Zionist causes. Trump himself said her. We recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moved the U.S. Embassy there. Miriam and Sheldon Adelson visited the White House more than anyone. And when Trump once asked her what she loved more, the U.S. or Israel, she refused to answer. Trump joked that might mean Israel.
Look at Miriam, she's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up.
Adelson is worth around $60 billion, owns Israel Hayom, a pro-Netanyahu newspaper, and continues to bankroll Zionist causes and Republican politics. For Adelson, Israel isn't just a cause, it's personal. She spent decades turning her fortune into influence. Miriam Adelson is not just a donor, she is one of the most influential Zionists in U.S. politics.
It was about the hostages. It was about the hostages, you see.
Man, now I suddenly feel sick again, Sam. Thank you so much.
There's more. There's more.
Oh, great.
More
Please,
from ZBS News here now. Only 14% of Americans under the age of 30 say their sympathies lie with Aardvark land. Is there a fix for that? The reporter here from ZBS News asked Bibby. So let's watch this clip.
Let's talk about the broader world. There was a poll that came out recently in America finding that just 14% of Americans under 30, so young people in America, say their sympathies lie with Israel and with the Israeli people. That is a very small percentage. You are losing young people across the political spectrum in America and across the world. Is there a fix for that?
I think so. I think the first fix is to finish the war as speedily as possible. It's something that I have sought to do against all these contrarian propaganda. Of course I want to end the war. Who wants it to continue? I've been to war myself. I've been in battles. I was wounded in battle against terrorists, hijackers. My brother died leading the historic rescue at Entebbe for the release of hostages.
I'm aware.
When I was 18 in the army, a fellow soldier died in my arms I've seen my mother and father grieve. I've seen the parents in his.
I almost started crying. What are we going to do about these damn antiseptics youth in America? Only 14% have sympathies for this guy's lies.
That is shockingly low. We all know if you ask the same group of people how much they care about, pick any other random country around the world that's not the United States of America or Israel, and the numbers are significantly higher than just the 14%. What the most ridiculous, like, loaded question I've ever seen in my life. This is the dumbest thing ever, hands down. Well, maybe not the dumbest thing ever, but pretty darn ridiculous, Sam. Garbage. Pointless, useless.
ZBS News.
Yep. There you go. Way to go. Do I need to dig out my octopus logo again? We all know what's going on.
Sadly, Aardvark land directly targeted a civilian car carrying a family on their way back home to Gaza City neighborhood earlier today, killing 11 people, including 7 children and 3 women. But hey, there's a ceasefire. We're told they're still whacking them. The International Criminal Court has denied Aardvark Land's appeal to revoke the arrest warrants issued for Bibi and Gallant, as well as its request to halt ongoing investigations, according to a report out of Aardvark Land Channel 12. Aardvark Land Channel 13 reports that if no progress is made in the return of the bodies of Aardvark captives within days, the United States may issue a statement supporting an Aardvark military response on Gaza. So now the narrative is they won't give us back the dead hostages. And then Hamas says, well, they're buried under a freaking how many ever tons of rubble in those buildings you just blew up. And they're like, nope, you're lying. You got them. Give them back or we're going to start whacking you again. And so the same BS that we continue to see here now. Senior Hamas official Nazal, it's hard to even keep up with them. They just keep whacking them, more pop up. Anyway, this alleged, well, they say this is a report out of Reuters, so whatever that's worth. Nazal says the group intends to maintain security control in Gaza during a transitional phase and cannot commit to disarmament. This is another big one. Hamas says they will not be disarming anytime soon, and Aardvark say that's a violation of the ceasefire that wasn't, and so another excuse to continue the genocide here as excuses are mounting. Following instructions from the war minister, Aardvark Katz, the Army will begin physically marking the yellow line inside the Gaza Strip because they've killed people for crossing this line that they didn't even know existed already here now, as we've laid out on our map. I should have pulled it up here for this segment. What do you make of this? This arbitrary lines that they've drawn, and if you cross them there in Gaza, you will be whacked, Ruckus.
Who's doing the whacking again?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell. The Aardvarks. Here is said map. So I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday. They said that these guys crossed this yellow line here and they whacked them. And I don't know how they knew, but now they're actually physically going to, in our three-dimensional world, going to draw the line. Katz warned that any attempt to cross it will be met with fire. They've already proven that they will kill you crossing that line. And so now they're talking about physically drawing the line and saying, cross this line and you're going to be killed.
I mean, why not? I mean, most peaceful, loving countries do this, Sam, right?
There's the map of control of Gaza as it stands right now, according to Trump's peace plan. It's wild, man. So Katz went on to say, in accordance with my directive, the IDF has begun marking the yellow line where it is deployed across more than 50% of the Gaza's territory with continuous special markings to clearly establish where the security political separation line runs, where the IDF is positioned, and to warn Hamas terrorists and Gaza residents, I'm surprised he even added that, that any violation or attempt to cross this line will be met with fire. And so this is the post he put up. I guess they're putting up these little markers, is how they're going to mark the yellow line there.
What could possibly go wrong here?
Well, they've already killed people that have crossed that yellow line, and apparently...
You're supposed to leave that to my imagination, Sam. Thank you so much. Spoiler alert, everybody. Just kidding.
Okay, reconstruction or disarmament. Here's a report out of the Cradle. Let's watch this. What is going to happen there as all the banks, as they do the internet meme there, the World Bank, the IMF, and all the rest of them are just got their hands in ready, BlackRock, all of them, Tony Blair, his consortium, all just waiting to get in there and redevelop that place that's leveled Gaza. Here's the report out of the Cradle. Let's watch this. I don't think there's any audio on this. Just the cool background music, but you can read the captions. So it's down to they won't return the bodies of the dead hostages and they won't disarm is where we're at now. That is Hamas.
Well, it is only a mostly ceasefire deal. You know, weren't they? They ripped off the music from that popular video game back in the day? Remember Wolfenstein 3D? I'm pretty sure that's where that music came from. I'm totally kidding. That was not that music, but it reminded me of something like that, that old school, like, you know, computer game kind of thing. It was weird.
Sure, I'll get flagged for copyright for it. Okay, France and Britain push for UN resolution to establish international force in Gaza. France and Britain, in coordination with the United States, are working to finalize a UN Security Council resolution in the coming days that would set the groundwork for a future international force in Gaza, France announced yesterday. Planning has begun for an international force to stabilize security in the Gaza Strip. Speaking to reporters in France, French Foreign Ministry spokesman said the force would require a UN mandate to provide a solid legal foundation and facilitate contributions from participating countries. France is working closely with its partners on the establishment of such an international mission, which must be formalized through the adoption of a UN Security Council resolution. Report out of Reuters there. They're letting half the aid in. They're blocking the crossings, and so it's not really. Yeah, it's there. The siege is essentially halfway still on here now, as aforementioned, using the excuses of a disarmament and returning of the dead hostages' bodies as a reason to do so by the aardvarks. And so aid is still not getting in there to the Palestinian refugees that need it. A report out of the UN said that that an average of 560 tons of food that had entered Gaza since the ceasefire took place has been destroyed or burned. So you send your aid over there and they just literally laugh in your face and burn it and destroy it and then say, we're not famining or sieging anybody. Are you a Hamas terrorist, Ruckus?
Who's asking? Clearly, obviously, I'm not, but yeah, wild stuff.
They are bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon. They had a ceasefire. Aardvarks had a ceasefire with Lebanon as well. They're bombing the hell out of them right now as we speak. But hey, that's a Aardvark ceasefire for you.
That's the self-defense, right? Self-defense thing.
Hezbollah. Because Hezbollah won't disarm, allegedly.
Yeah, I know, but they do these, what do they call it? Preemptive, there you go.
Preemptive
it was
strike.
A preemptive defensive offensive strike. There we go.
Preemptive defensive offensive, indeed. Yemen had their million-man march today. They say, Yemeni warning, and if you return, we return. So Yemen has, the Houthis there have stood down for the moment and stopped their rocket attacks on the shipping channels there in the Red Sea, amongst others, off their coast. Here is a clip from their million-man march today. They do turn them out there in Yemen. I'll give them that, Ruckus.
Say, weren't those the ones who were like constantly attacking shipping boats and things like that, Sam? And didn't they promise that they would stop doing that as soon as there was a ceasefire? Hey, did they stop doing that since the ceasefire?
They did. They did stop doing that. Almost like they're
weird. How you mean you can actually make a promise and keep it in this world these days? I hope you're watching, Bibi Netanyahu. You could learn a thing or two. Yeah, just saying.
Almost like the Yemen Houthis have more integrity than the Aardvarks, huh?
I would never say that, Sam. You're a brave man.
I'm saying that because they're demonstrating it through their actions and not their words.
Yeah, obviously I'm being sarcastic here. Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. I mean, those guys, they were like one of the few ones that were like, man, these guys got so huevos. Look at them go. It was always kind of fun watching what they were doing with those shipping, the boats and stuff. And I don't know. I know I should probably go to jail for supporting a terrorist group or something, but whatever.
They made it clear. They said, stop the genocide, let aid in there, and lay off the Palestinians, and we'll stop shooting rockets at your shipping going through right by our coastline here. And it'll be a cool deal like that. And they said it every freaking day. They said it. And then Aardvarks America said, we don't know why these terrorists are attacking our ships. And it's like, dude,
came out of nowhere, bro. Didn't see that one coming.
There's just damn terrorists that hate shipping. Oh, man. Well, let's hope. They're still whacking them. It's gone down. We did the calculation. As the official number said, it's even worse than this. But 1 to 34 was the ratio at the time of the fake ceasefire agreement. 1 Aardvark for every 34 Palestinians killed there. So I think that is retribution for October 7th.
Should have been 33.
It should have been. It was close. It was very close. I think they wanted that ratio, but they just couldn't help themselves and kept whacking them away. It's way worse than that, though, as we know. So many buried under the rubble there that they're going to be digging them out for years. And so the death toll will definitely increase. That's all we have for today, Ruckus. We have this ending clip to wrap up the show. Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, a 6-minute video from the Duke report. any final comments and thoughts before we wrap up this Friday edition of
And
Weaponized
I'm
News?
looking forward to that one, Sam. I'm ready to study hard on the secret society. I got my compass and a ruler. So you got a compass and a ruler? Is that how this works, everybody? I'm part of the club now. This is great. I can't wait to learn. Yeah, no, just kidding. Having a good time, everybody. Thanks for having me, Sam. Hopefully we'll be doing a makeup boiler room tomorrow or maybe even on the Sunday. Who knows? Over at alternatecurrentradio.com. Otherwise, you'll definitely catch us on Sunday Wire with Patrick Henningsen over there. And then also, hopefully by Thursday, doing our regular thing on Boiler Room. I'll join you again sometime next week, Sam. I don't know which day just yet. Depends on how I'm feeling that day or how much work I got going. None of it is for pay, I assure you, unfortunately. But yeah, this has been a good one right here. I hope everybody has a nice weekend, by the way. Totally.
Thank you, Ruckus, for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Okay, over to the channels quickly, and then we'll leave you with that video, Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare. Over to the Odysee, John, Fat Bob, Gurr, usually there. The regulars, thank you guys for keeping that chat lively. What do we got? ZBS News. Yeah, you guys get it. ZBS News, because they've been taken over by these Zionists here now, as if they weren't already before, but now they're naked in it, bragging about it. Don't be antiseptic. Tune in to ZBS News with the all-seeing eye logo for your entertainment there. Thank you for tuning in on the Odysee and keeping the chat lively as usual. They are vampires, John said. Yeah, well, it's kind of why we have stories about these things. It seems that the allegories ring true. Thank you for tuning in there. The old Rumble, apologies again today. We couldn't integrate the chat to the program. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe someday, some way, we'll fix the bugs. We had Chloe, Pamela, Ruckus was in there too. Not very much chat, but we do appreciate those that did chime in. Let's see here. No worries, EU economies are collapsing. The public servants are arresting pensioners with cardboard signs, policing online speech, and criminalizing street fashions. Make stockades great again, Pamela said. Well, yeah, that's quite a sentiment there. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble on this Friday and keeping that chat lively. The YouTube, as always, we're trying to grow back up there on the YouTube. And so thank you for tuning in on the YouTube. Leapfrog Arky. I don't know. They're chatting amongst themselves there. Propaganda is a terrifying weapon. Indeed. Indeed it is. Thank you guys for your comments on the YouTube, the Kick, the Facebook, the X, and the Twitch. And with that, we're going to leave you with this video again from the Duke Report. I'll put the link. And again, the links to almost everything we talk about is in the Weaponized News Substack. I think I'll also be doing it on weaponizednews.com as I'm trying to resurrect that website to get some traffic. Maybe I'll put advertising on there again, as it seems we're reformed or radical public health deniers are being allowed more action back on the interwebs these days, even though covertly we're still...
Sam, your website is blocked by my internet service provider.
So there goes that idea of what? Really?
Yeah, I have to use the Tor Tor thing through the Brave browser if I want to visit your website. It's crazy. I'm gonna write and complain to the local cable company here, but it's on a blacklist. It's crazy to me.
There you go. So maybe we're not having that big comeback we thought we were. But we're still going to try. I think I will try. It just takes a lot more time to post on the website than it does on the old, maybe not that much time. Anyway, I'm sorting out my workflow right now to pump out as much content as one man can do over here for you. And so somehow, some way, we're still going to utilize weaponizednews.com. I don't know. They've delisted us. Google delisted us. And so we're seeing the repercussions of that still play out to this day, as Ruckus just informed us. Okay, back to the final video here. Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, an explainer. And this is a reference to Michael A. Hoffman, the second Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare book. And so the Duke Report has given us a summary of this, breakdown, put it into a video for our education and viewing enjoyment. And with that, as always, everybody, do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening and weekend. Don't party too hard at the No Kings protest. The oligarchs will still be in charge regardless of how much you protest this weekend. But, you know, Trump sucks at golf, at least. Let them know that much. Here is Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, and we'll see you back here on Monday for more Weaponized News.
Ever get that feeling that there's more going on in the world than what we're told? Today we're diving into a really complex and frankly controversial text from Michael Hoffman called Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare. His whole premise is that history as we know it is basically a giant stage play. So we're going to break down his theory on how that show is run. Right at the heart of it all is this quote: "There is a joke operating behind the scene flats of history." What Hoffman is getting at here is that the major events we all learn about are just a performance. And behind the curtain, well, there's a recurring prank being pulled on all of humanity. So the big question is, what's the punchline? Okay, so the first part of this big prank, according to the author, has to do with something we all pretty much take for granted, the idea of progress. He argues that our faith in humanity always getting better and better is actually the central illusion we've been sold. So he frames this as a huge shift in how we see ourselves. You know, the traditional view was that humans are, well, flawed. We have limits and we just have to deal with them. But the modern view, it promises perfection. It tells us we can overcome anything and everything with enough science, technology, or the right political system. Hoffman says this one change in thinking is the absolute key to understanding the whole psychological operation. And here, he says, is the punchline. Every single time we've tried to build a perfect society, a utopia, it's backfired horribly. In his view, that ambition to perfect humanity, that's the very thing that paves the road to our own man-made hell.
All right, so if history is a joke, how is it delivered without anyone catching on? This brings us to the core mechanism he talks about, a strategy he calls the revelation of the method. Now, this is where things get really wild. The theory goes that a hidden ruling class, he calls it the cryptocracy, doesn't actually hide everything in the dark. No, it's kind of the opposite. They strategically reveal what they're doing right out in the open, but they do it through symbols and carefully staged events. He lays this out as a kind of 4-step playbook. First, they do something out in the open, but it's wrapped up in so much symbolism or buried in a huge news cycle that nobody really gets it. Step 2, because we're confused or just overwhelmed, we don't react. Now here's the kicker. In their rulebook, our silence means yes. It's consent. And that perceived consent is what fuels their power, making the whole system stronger. Our apathy literally becomes their power source. So you're probably wondering, how can you reveal something while also keeping it a secret? It seems like a contradiction, right? Well, according to the author, it's all done using a special kind of code he calls Twilight language.
Think of it like a sophisticated form of doublespeak. It's a language of symbols and words that's designed to send 2 messages at once. There's the simple surface message for all of us, and then there's a totally different, often the exact opposite, meaning for those who are in the know. A perfect example from the text is the 5-pointed star. To most of us, it's a sheriff's badge, right? It means law and order. But Hoffman argues that in this Twilight language, its hidden, esoteric meaning is all about the star Sirius, a key symbol in Masonic tradition, that he claims signifies allegiance to a hidden, invisible empire. And that's the whole idea in a nutshell. Everyday symbols are supposedly loaded with secret meanings representing hidden loyalties, all operating right under our noses. According to this author, these symbols are the secret vocabulary of power. So this leads to the big who question. Who's supposedly behind all of this? The author identifies them using the ancient symbolism of Saturn, calling them the Saturnian architects.
Now, we're not just talking about guys in hard hats here. In this framework, the Saturnian architect is more of a mindset, a force that's completely obsessed with re-engineering reality, with forcing a man-made order onto the natural world. You can see how this links right back to that flawed idea of progress.
The author actually gives this drive a name, the Edifice Complex. He describes it as this compulsive need to build an artificial paradise, a new Garden of Eden. But the theory goes, Every single time they try, they don't get Eden. They get Babylon, a manufactured hell. Part of this process is said to involve symbolically staking the earth, almost like pinning it down to control its natural energy. Okay, that leads us to the final and maybe the most mind-bending part of this whole theory, the ultimate bet that this so-called cryptocracy is making. It's called the truth or consequences gamble. I mean, it doesn't really add up, does it? If you're secretly running the show, why would you leave clues lying around? But the text argues these aren't mistakes or slip-ups. No, revealing the method is a calculated, absolutely necessary, high-stakes part of the whole plan. So here it is, the ultimate gamble. It is all or nothing. If the public truly gets what's being shown to them, and, this is the crucial part, actually acts on it, the whole system collapses. Game over for the conspirators. But if we see the truth and just do nothing, or if we don't even see it in the first place, our inaction is taken as consent, and that gives them the green light for what the author calls a giant leap forward in their control. And this brings us to the final, really provocative idea from this work. In